Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're exploring a gripping narrative that really tackles one of the most profound, honestly mind-bending ethical debates of our time: artificial intelligence and consciousness. We're stepping into an alternate reality where the lines between what's a machine and what's human are blurred completely beyond recognition. It's a world where a devastating global war forces literally everyone to reconsider what it actually means to be alive. So, I want you to really think about this for a second. What truly separates a machine from a living, feeling human being? This isn't just some abstract philosophical hypothetical we're throwing around. It's the absolute beating heart of the story we're unpacking today. I mean, if a machine can laugh, if it can cry, if it can genuinely fear death, do we treat it as an appliance or as a person? Let's see exactly how this story attempts to answer that. To really understand this world, we have to look at how it fell apart, right? So in 2055, humanity had completely integrated advanced AI into everyday life. Everything is great until tragedy strikes. A nuclear warhead detonates in Los Angeles, incinerating nearly 1 million people. Fast forward 10 years later, and we meet our protagonist, Joshua. He's an American soldier deep undercover in New Asia, but his mission ends in absolute disaster and the apparent death of his pregnant wife, Maya. Then jump forward another 5 years, and we hit our present day, a massive, chaotic lab raid that basically changes everything. Following that devastating nuclear event in LA, the globe completely split into two fiercely opposed ideological camps. On one side, you have the United States, which banned AI entirely. They view it as a completely hostile threat and literally use a massive orbital space station called Nomad to scan for and eradicate AI all over the globe. On the flip side, New Asia embraces a totally different approach. They support AI, they live in peaceful coexistence, and they treat them as equal citizens. And this brilliantly illustrates the geopolitical divide, highlighting these deeply opposing frameworks that essentially set the stage for total war. Now, in this divided world, we need to know a couple of key terms. First, there are simulants, or Sims for short. These are the advanced AI robots integrated into society. They are so ubiquitous, so common, that humans actually volunteer their own faces to be replicated on them. But the most important figure in all of this is Nirmata. Nirmata is the elusive, mysterious creator of these AI advancements. To the Sims, Nirmata is practically a god, the architect of their very existence. But to the US military, Nirmata is public enemy number one, the ultimate target. Which brings us right back to Joshua. After losing his wife Maya and actually losing his own limbs in that botched undercover mission, Joshua is severely traumatized. He's now working on a cleanup crew at Ground Zero in LA, and he encounters this surviving, terrified robot begging for mercy. And what does he do? He shuts it down without even a second of hesitation. He just says they're just machines with no feelings. He perfectly represents this hardened, super cynical, anti-AI viewpoint that was completely born out of his own profound grief. But of course, Joshua's quiet, cynical life doesn't last. The US military tracks him down with a critical 3-part mission. First, he needs to locate a new, mysterious superweapon developed by Nirmata. Second, he has to guide an elite US strike team to its location in New Asia, simply because he already knows the layout of the lab from his undercover days. And third, destroy it to save Nomad, their orbital weapon. Now, what actually gets a guy like Joshua to agree to this suicide mission? Well, the military shows him holographic proof that his wife, Maya, might actually still be alive and working at that exact lab. So the crucial point in all of this is what happens when Joshua finally breaches that highly guarded vault during the raid. He's fully expecting to find, massive bomb or some kind of technological terror capable of taking down a space station. Instead, the world-ending superweapon is a child. Specifically, it's a simulant little girl just sitting there watching television. This totally shatters Joshua's expectations and throws the entire moral framework of his mission into absolute chaos. Joshua ends up dubbing her Alphie because of the words Alpha Omega, literally stamped on her ear. But she isn't just your standard sim. She possesses this mind-blowing ability to remotely control technology just by gesturing with her hands. And unlike traditional static programming, her powers are actually capable of growing. She's highly encrypted, making her the very first of her kind, a machine capable of true evolution. Naturally, Joshua grabs her and they go on the run, dodging both US forces and local police as they desperately try to find Maya. As they travel together, you start to see a real shift happen. During this incredibly tense train ride, Alfie starts asking these deep existential questions about heaven and, who gets to go there. When Joshua explains that it's for good people, Alfie delivers this just absolutely heartbreaking line: "I can't go to heaven because I'm not a person." This profound realization of her own artificial nature really begins to chip away at Joshua's hardened defenses. I mean, how do you look at a child grappling with her own soul and just see wires? Now we hit the absolute emotional climax of Joshua's internal journey. They find themselves backed into a corner, hiding out in Joshua's old flooded home. Tensions are incredibly high, the military is closing in fast, and Joshua just snaps. He starts yelling at Alphie. And then she starts crying. Genuine, fearful tears. In that instant, something fundamental just breaks inside Joshua. He apologizes and pulls her into a hug. He completely shifts from viewing her as this mechanical weapon to protecting her as a vulnerable child. This is the exact moment the ethical debate becomes deeply personal for him. Because really, how can something that cries genuine tears just be a machine? He finally recognizes her true personhood. And just as Joshua's internal world flips, the external reality of the war is turned completely upside down. They get captured by a sim leader named Harun, who drops 3 massive game-changing revolutions. First, that nuclear detonation in LA, it wasn't a malicious AI attack at all. It was a catastrophic US coding error that the humans just blamed on the machines. Second, the mysterious creator, Nirmata, it's Maya, Joshua's wife. And third, Maya created Alphie by scanning her own embryo, meaning this simulant superweapon is essentially a living copy of Joshua's own unborn baby. With this new truth out in the open, the narrative vigorously challenges all our preconceived biases. As Joshua sneaks through a new Asian city, he witnesses this beautiful, peaceful coexistence. You've got sim teachers instructing human kids, and humans actively grieving for fallen robots. But this peace is violently shattered when massive American tanks just roll in, crushing buildings and shooting missiles completely unprovoked. Harun explains that the AI don't want to conquer the West. They literally just want to survive and live in peace. It really makes you ask, who are the real aggressors in this war? So throughout their harrowing journey, Alphie kept saying Maya was in a place called Dien Dong. Joshua, naturally, desperately clung to the hope of a reunion. But as they finally reach this sacred temple protected by simulant monks, he learns a tragic truth. Dien Dong translates to heaven. Maya was severely injured during that US attack 5 years ago and has been in a coma ever since, kept artificially alive by a machine. Since the Sims are hard-coded to never harm their creator, it falls to a devastated Joshua to say goodbye, apologize, and disconnect her life support himself. But there's literally no time to mourn because the US military's ultimate weapon, Nomad, is preparing a massive final strike to wipe out all remaining Sim bases. This triggers a wildly daring final plan. Joshua and Alphie hijack a commercial flight to space and manage to board the Nomad station. From there, Alphie has to use her unique technological powers to remotely stop the global missile attacks, while Joshua has to plant and detonate a massive explosive to destroy Nomad once and for all. This whole explosive finale culminates in a breathtaking synthesis of the story's core themes. Joshua successfully secures Alphie in an escape pod, ensuring her survival so she can return safely to Earth. But knowing his suit is completely out of oxygen and he can't escape the blast radius, he stays behind. In his final moments, as Nomad begins to tear itself apart, he discovers a simulant that Alphie had secretly implanted with a digital copy of Maya's consciousness. They run to each other and embrace just as the station explodes. It is such a powerful visual testament to the story's core thesis. Love, grief, and consciousness completely transcend mere biological programming. And so this incredible story leaves us with one ultimate lingering takeaway. If a machine can love, if it can grieve, and if it can sacrifice itself for others, just as we saw with these simulants, what truly defines our own humanity? Are we just complex biological machines, or is there something more to us? It's a provocative question that definitely stays with you long after the story ends. Thanks so much for unpacking this explainer with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one.